I'm a former IRS agent and teaching instructor with the Internal Revenue Service. Today I'm going to speak to you have no money to pay Internal Revenue Service. I want to tell you a little about me. I'm a former agent. I worked at IRS for 10 years. I've been in private practice for 40 years. I've been doing this for 50 years. I'm a national expert in IRS resolution matters. Many of you have come to me because you've seen me on the national news. I've been on, I don't know, at least 10 national interviews on major stations in the last 3 or 4 months. Welcome. I have about over 7,000 subscribers, about 300,000 watch hours. And I do these videos for 3 reasons: so you don't get ripped off, so you can make an educated, pardon me, little flu decision on what you need to do. And I give you insider information from Internal Revenue Service when I can. By the way, if you want to see my interviews and my team, go to 777irs.com. So you have no money to pay the IRS, so what's next? Many people shut down, and when you shut down, you don't know, in fact, what to do. You just stay there like an ostrich. You know, an ostrich, when trouble comes, just sticks its head in the sand, and then you're kind of frozen and you don't know what to do. So what I want to do as a former agent and being in the collection division, a revenue officer, you need to know that IRS has what's called a currently non-collectible program. I call it hardship. Terminology people use are different things, but they do have a currently non-collectible program. And if you can't afford to pay IRS and you don't have the money, you know, I'll tell you, about 40% of the people that call us don't have the money, and we wind up putting their case in currently non-collectible. So let me just tell you how that works. So IRS expects all your tax returns to be filed, and they expect at least your current withholding or estimate payments are up to date. That's really important that you do that. IRS is going to take a financial statement. The service center will ask for a 433F. The revenue officer will ask for a 433A. When they take that financial statement, they will make a determination whether you are a part pay agreement or whether you're currently non-collectible. I don't want to talk about the offer and compromise because you may be able to settle your debt for pennies on a dollar, but I don't want to talk about that here. I just want to talk about if you have no money to pay your taxes right now, and if you need to go ahead and call Internal Revenue Service, just be prepared to fill a 433F out, or if someone's going to represent you, they'll ask for that form, and then they'll call IRS, and then if you can't pay the money, they will put you in uncollectible. But how do you get in that? What's the criteria for that to work? IRS has what's called a National Standard Program. And what IRS is going to drill down is the 2 things on your financial statement. What are your assets? Do you have any equity that you're not exploring? You have money in your pension plan, equity in your home? Can you get a loan? Or you just flat can't pay anything? Well, then IRS will turn to your income and they will look at your current expenses. But IRS is not going to use your expense base to make that determination. IRS, in fact, is going to use what's called the IRS National Standards to determine whether you can pay them or not. Now, you can Google the IRS standards, and if you do, you can Google IRS National Standards for food and clothes, IRS National Standards for housing and utilities, IRS National Standards for car payments, IRS National Standards for car expenses. IRS will dictate to you what you can spend for those expenses. The Department of Labor has put out statistics in every county and every region, and IRS will use those standards to make a determination whether you can pay your money or not. For instance, if I'm in Fort Lauderdale, and for one person, IRS allows, I think it's $1,900 for someone to live on for housing and utilities. So you will have to find out in your area what IRS allows. So when IRS looks at your income and they look at the IRS national standards, they will determine whether you can pay them or not. Do not call the IRS yourself if you don't know the IRS national standards, because you may wind up with a couple $1,000 a month payment agreement. If you don't have a lot of money and you don't need to worry because you're just getting by, call them yourself. But if you're not sure, you need to call a professional. So I don't want you running off just spending your money and spending thousands of dollars to get your case uncollectible, but it's possible you may have to if you're over the national standards. There's things that you can do to make sure you're in currently non-collectible. So anyway, at the end of the day, if you have no money to pay IRS, make sure you understand the national standards and Google those national standards. Once again, the national standards are for food and clothing, housing and utilities, for car expenses, and for car payment. And you'll get an idea what IRS is going to allow you. And then if IRS puts you in currently non-collectible, your case will probably stay there in 2 or 3 years. It stays there only for a period of time. Penalties and interest run. They will grab your refund, but you can change your W-4 so they don't grab your refund. And then IRS will or may work your case again in 3 or 4 years. They can bring it up anytime they want, but usually it stays in currently non-collectible for a couple years generally. Hit me up if you need representation. Send me an email if you want an answer to anything. I give you a free consultation. Give me a subscription at least. I laid everything out here. A subscription is helpful because YouTube wants us to have subscriptions. I would appreciate one. Thank you so much. You can make a Calendly appointment with this as well.